Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you are well. We're excited to offer this session for you called Summer Fun. Let's talk early literacy for every learner. All right, and thank you to Linda, our interpreter. Because we are offering live Spanish interpretation for this session, we would like to remind everyone who shares today to please slow your speaking pace down. This session is being recorded, so please keep yourself on mute if you are joining us live. And if you would like to remain anonymous if you're live with us today, you can turn off your video and remove your name, your username on your Zoom video box. We will be sharing this recording soon as an ongoing resource on our Northwest Down Syndrome Association and ABI YouTube, as well as the event calendar page for this session on our abicommunity.org website. We are excited to offer this fun early literacy training today in collaboration with Western Oregon University and local parents and professionals. You will learn many easy things you can do at home to support your child to develop interest, skills, and even a love for reading. You will receive resources, strategies, and tools that can be part of your everyday routine. You will find out about assistive technology and how to incorporate high and low tech AT, assistive technology, for your young reader and their progress. We have a full agenda for you that we're excited about. We have parents and professionals lined up today to share their experiences and expertise with you and to help you find empowerment, motivation, and solutions for you and your child around early literacy. And now I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jamie Birch, and since we are on an online platform, I will give a visual description. I am the NWDSA and ABI Projects and Community Coordinator with Northwest Disability Support. I am a white woman in my early 40s, and I am wearing glasses and a brown long sleeve shirt. My hair falls down just below my shoulders and is dark brown with some silvery sparkle at the top and some faded blue and green on the bottom. I'm here in my home office. My background is a white brick wall with a hanging gold medal tree and gray wooden flower mirrors on each side. I am also the parent of 2 adults now. The top image on the left is both of my daughters when they were little, and the image to the right is more recent from not too long ago. My daughter Carly is a junior in high school. She is 17 and she experiences Down syndrome. She likes to write short stories and wants to be an author. And I'd like to share a quick story with you. When she was about 4 years old, she attended an inclusive preschool. At the time, her favorite story was The Very Hungry Caterpillar. The book is the bottom image on this slide. It was a book we had read together many times at home over the years. And when she got to preschool, they provided her with hands-on visuals so that she could access and process the story. The story is about a caterpillar who eats its way through the days of the week. On Monday, it eats through an apple, so we would get the apple out of the Ziploc bag. The apple was laminated, color copy of the exact apple from the story. Then on Tuesday, the caterpillar eats through 2 pears, and so we would get the 2 pears out and count them. The 2 pears were just like the ones in the book, and I would say 1, 2 pears, and she would repeat what I was saying, 1, 2 pears, while looking at the thing that she was talking about. The story goes on through the days and up in numbers of food eaten. She got exposure to the names of the days of the week through the story, as well as numbers for counting. What I found at the time was that using visuals with that book and other books, it allowed her to visualize and actualize the story. We experienced that when she could experience the story, she gained interest in it and continued to build reading skills. The great thing about this age group too is that she loved to read some of the same books over and over again. The repetition, coupled with the visuals, supported her learning to read as she learned patterns of speech in stories and spoken language from her sister, peers without disabilities, and the adults around her. And with access and support, she has changed, just like the caterpillar in the story. She's gone from a very hungry, early emergent reader that she once was to a more independent reader today. Today, reading looks like many things for her. She likes to read comics and books of interest. She uses audiobooks to access grade level books, and she uses a computer program that reads electronic text aloud to her, so she can read instructions and long passages with her schoolwork. She has built many skills over time through access and exposure, and I believe every learner can build skills with supports, including your kiddos as well. And now I would like to introduce Jonathan Cotton. He is here to share about his family's love for reading and how they have built that into their daughter's life. Jonathan is a board member of Northwest Disability Support and also contributes articles, videos, and other support and work to our organization. And now I will turn it over to Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for being here with us.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for having me. As Jamie said, my name is Jonathan. I am a board member. I'm also the father of a 4-year-old girl named Lorelei. She has Down syndrome and she loves books. She is an avid reader. She loves to have my wife and I read stories to her. She loves to have anyone read stories to her. She'll even, if you don't read to her, bring a book over and begin reading to you. She hasn't quite mastered the skill of reading actual letters, but she gets to know her book so well that she memorizes parts of the story, or if she hasn't memorized it yet, she looks at the pictures and creates her own story. So Lorelei loves books and reading independently. Sometimes I will walk into the room and find her sitting on the floor reading a book or a magazine. And she really loves reading with other people. She hasn't always read on her own or made up her own stories, but we've always read to her. It actually started in the hospital when she was born. We had a short NICU stay, and every day in the hospital, we would read stories to her. And we continued doing that when we got home. As soon as we brought her home, every night when we would put her to bed, we would read a story to her. And over the years, her experience and engagement of books and reading has really evolved. It went from just kind of sitting there or laying there hearing us read to her, to pointing at pictures or things that she noticed. Eventually, she would connect that with sounds. We might read a story about a farm, and she would point and try to make animal sounds. Then it went to pointing at things and saying a word, what the item or person or object was. And now we're to the point where she'll finish the sentence on a lot of the books that we read because she's just so familiar with it. Speaking of finishing sentences, we've really noticed her memory doing really well when it's connected with a story. She has a great ability to retain things when there is a picture and a word going together. Surprisingly so, she surprises us all the time, even with things that we haven't read that frequently. She'll repeat it later or bring it up at lunchtime or when we're driving and talk about things that happened in her book. So we've really seen that when we read and there are books, or pictures and words going together, that she really remembers those things well. That's also grown into her counting, being able to count numbers, or point out colors, even letters we're starting to work on now. And yes, interactive books. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. We're starting to get interactive books with her where the book will ask her to count a certain number of items, or ask her to point out which color an egg, or a shape might be. And she's really enjoying interactive books. The other thing that we use it for is building expectations. If we go someplace new, if we're going to go on maybe an airplane when things open up and it feels safe, we'll get books to let her know what the experience is going to be like. That way, when we get there, she already has a sense of expectation of how to behave on a plane and who the people are. She's developed a bad habit of nail biting and chewing on her fingers. So we picked up a book about not chewing your fingernails. And that's something that we're able to reference when she's doing that behavior. We can remind her what she learned in the book. Lastly, it's built a wonderful sense of routine. Not only is it a special time for our family to connect, but Lorelai thrives in routine. So when we read a story at nighttime, she knows that it's time to go to sleep and to go to bed. If we travel somewhere and we're not in our normal room, it's her way when we read her a story of knowing that now it's time to go to sleep. Or if grandpa and grandma are watching her and putting her to bed, reading a story, while the routine might be a little different because mom and dad aren't there, reading a story helps her know that now it's time to go to sleep. And it's we've seen that when she has routine, she does well. And this is a great way of establishing routine. Lastly, books can be expensive, but they don't always have to be. We've picked up a lot of books very inexpensively at Goodwill. We've gotten a lot for free from people that we've known and from Facebook groups like our Buy Nothing group. And of course, the library is a really fun experience to go down and to be able to borrow books. So our family loves reading. It's had a wonderful impact on our daughter, and we hope that your family can also develop and share a love of reading as well.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for sharing your story with us. I think it's so important to hear other people's stories, other parents' stories. It was always helpful for me when my daughter was little. There's definitely a power in sharing our story. And I know that I have learned so much from others who have shared their experiences with me. So thank you. And now I would like to introduce Cindy Ryan and Natalie Plasker with Western Oregon University. Cindy Ryan is an associate professor and early childhood program coordinator in the College of Education at Western Oregon University, WOU. She is a longtime partner of ours, and we are always happy to collaborate with her. Cindy has offered other early childhood sessions for us before, and we worked together for quite a while recently in piloting a program where we paired Western Oregon University early childhood students along with children birth to 5 with disabilities and their families for online reading opportunities. We appreciate Cindy's inclusive mindset and work in this area and the time that she gives to future teachers and our community. I would also like to introduce Natalie Plasker. Natalie is a Western Oregon University student in her final term of the early childhood program. Natalie is graduating and wants to be an early childhood educator. We have been pleased to be able to work closely with Natalie and support her clinical placement at our organization. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Natalie. Thank you for being with us. Take it away.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for that intro. That's so nice.
Yes, and I'll be pulling up your slides, so bear with me.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Okay, just like Jamie said, my name is Natalie Plasker, and I am a senior at Western, and I am specializing in children 0 to 5 years old. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with NWDSA over the last about 6 months now, and I've really been working with their organization and learning about all that they do, as well as getting the opportunity to work one-on-one with kiddos and provide literacy opportunities and to read stories and to just do a lot of wonderful things with them. And when I got the opportunity to kind of present and do a little bit here with early literacy, I jumped on it. I was so excited. I think that early literacy is so important, and I was looking forward to the opportunity to be able to work with one of my professors, Cindy Ryan. Cindy, do you want to introduce yourself or anything?
Sure, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, as Jamie said, my name is Cindy Ryan, and I've been at Western for 10 years now, and my background is early childhood and early intervention. So I was a long time home visitor and worked with young children who experience disability. And now I get to work, I always say to my grandson, I work with the big kids now at the university. And so I'm a proud grandma of a 9-year-old little boy and mom of 3 grown children. And I am really happy to be here today. Thank you.
Okay, so like you've seen in all the emails and all the flyers and everything, we focused on summer fun and let's talk early literacy for every learner. And like I said, I've had the opportunity over the last 6 months to explore this area, not only from research and from my classes, but with one-on-one experience. And I'm really excited to kind of present some of the things that I've learned in this time. So Jamie, if you want to go to the next one. So one of my biggest takeaways that I would love to share with you all is that literacy is everywhere. Things that you may not realize that your child is picking up on that revolves around literacy is always happening. And I think that one of the biggest things that I've learned is that it can be in recipes, it can be in stories you're reading, it can be in conversations, it can be in almost anything, games that they're playing. There really is opportunity to take some literacy skills out of almost anything that you are doing. And so I think it's really important to realize that when your child comes home from school, I think it's a lot of times it's easy to go, oh, I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to do these. I don't know how to incorporate that into home. You're already doing it and you don't even realize that you're already doing it. So that's kind of one of the things that we wanted to kind of highlight today is that there are things that you're already doing that are really beneficial to your student and for their learning. And the next point is I believe that books are amazing. And one of the things that Jonathan already started to talk about is there's a book for almost any situation that you are going through in your home, whether it's biting nails or traveling or potty training or making friends or family. There's stories for absolutely everything. So I'm a very, very big advocate on the fact that books are an amazing place to start. If you want to create some sort of literacy activity in your home, I think books are the perfect place to start. If you're lost and you're not sure where to go, pick a book that you really like and go from there. And that's, I think, and it's an amazing place to start. So that's also one of the things that we're going to talk about in a minute. But with literacy, we wanted to create a resource here today that we'll talk about in a little bit. But with these activities that we have put together, I wanted to highlight the fact that they don't have to be over the top. They don't have to be intricate. They don't have to be really planned out. These activities can be thought of in a few minutes and put together with things that are already in your home. We really wanted this to be a simple, easy, stress-free resource and examples of activities that they can happen in a second whenever you're deciding that you want to do something, or if you already have something planned, I'm sure that there's a way to incorporate literacy within something that you're already doing. And so we provided some activities that we'll talk about later, but also we wanted to give some examples that you don't have to use the one that we've already created. You can do them on your own. That's how simple they are, and with materials that you already have and things that your students are already using every day. So we put together kind of a little bit of a demonstration. So Cindy was going to take over with a story.
Because what I would like to do is read a story to you. We love sharing books, and I'm a daughter of a librarian, and so I was read to from probably before I was even born. And so when Natalie and I were talking about this workshop, we thought one way to share some ideas with you would be to read a book to you, and then share some ideas. So I pulled, this one is called I Went Walking, and it's by Sue Williams. And it's a board book. It's a large board book, but it's a board book. And so what I would like to do is read this book to you and share some ideas as we're going through, and then share some ideas once we're done with the book as well. Okay, so starts like this. I went walking, little girl, getting her sweater on. What did you see? And there's a basket. I saw a black cat looking at me. She found a cat. I went walking, and what did you see? So one of the wonderful things about this book is they're giving you clues as to what's coming up next. So here's the girl and the cat. I wonder what she's going to see. I saw a brown horse looking at me. There's a cat, a horse, and the little girl. I went walking, and what did you see? Again, here's another clue. Wonder what it is. Turn the page. I saw a red cow looking at me. Oh my goodness, look at all the animals. We also laminated sign language visuals in here as well. This was a book I used in a classroom a long time ago. I went walking. What did you see? Look at that. There's a little bum sticking up. I wonder what that is. Quack, quack, quack. I saw a green duck looking at me. I went walking. Look at all the animals. What did you see? Here's a clue. Look what it is. I saw a pink pig looking at me. I went walking. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What did you see? Somebody's making a mess. My puppy's looking at me. I saw a yellow dog looking at me. Look at that. Look at all the animals. That dog's giving her a kiss. Look at that. Slurp, slurp. I went walking. And what did you see? I saw a lot of animals looking at me. Look at that. It's like an animal parade. Look at all those animals. Could be talking about all these animals and making animal noises. There they are. They're having an animal party right there. The end. Thank you. Jamie, will you go back to our PowerPoint so we can do pull up the next slide? There you go.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So this is one of my favorite books, and it's 1989. It's an older book, but it's a fantastic book. Real simple, what we call predictive text. When Jamie was talking earlier about the very hungry caterpillar and the words repeating over time, right? I went walking. What did you see? Over and over and over again. So as we're reading this book, and I was trying to give you a few cues and clues around there, is help your child notice the illustrations, see if you can predict, right, what the next animal's coming up, look for the clues, you can give them an audio clue with the animal sound, you can point, you can, hand over hand, look at the book. And so after you're looking at this book and read this book, and this book has always been a favorite in our house when my children were really young, and we're thinking about summer activities to do, get ready to go for a walk, right? And make a list of some things that you might see on your walk. And I went walking list, a Cindy went walking list. What are some things I might see or we might see on the walk? And so we could draw some things make a list. We could write, depending on where your child's at, do a little bit of writing, do some drawing. You could pull out animals and things from the toy box to see what you might see. And then when you go for a walk, take that with you and see if you can see that. You could also pull out some pictures from magazines and different things as well. But see what you see on the walk, and have a lot of conversation. We went walking. What do we see? I see a bird. I was just outside, saw a bird, and I saw a deer outside. And then when you come home, you can also write your own I Went Walking book. Children love having their own book. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't, I've made some really, I'm not an artist. I've made some really unusual looking animals in my drawings, but the children love it, right? Absolutely love it. And you can co-write a book. And it just can be some folded paper. And write down some things, and then you can reread that book, and your child can reread that book, and it could be laminated if you want, and it doesn't have to be, absolutely doesn't have to be. You also, another thing is I was on YouTube earlier for looking for some things, and I found this story as many stories are read alouds on YouTube as well. And so this is just a few ideas that you could do with just one book, right? Just absolutely just one book. And I know there's lots of other ideas. So if you want to share some ideas in the chat, and we can talk about them during the Q&A as well. But this is I Went Walking by Sue Williams. Thank you.
All right, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Cindy and Natalie, for sharing with us. So important. Yeah, the repetition for my daughter. I know Jonathan said it as well, but it definitely is something, the more repetition and access that I see with my daughter, the more she is able to actualize and process a concept and a story for sure. We appreciate your work on this session and the time that you both invested, Cindy and Natalie. Thank you so much. What you shared today is very useful. Opportunities for early literacy are everywhere around us. And now I would like to introduce Molly Hewlett. She is a parent and early childhood educator. Molly will be sharing some specific examples for you around visual supports and augmentative and alternative communication, AAC, that you can do at home. Molly is a graduate of our kindergarten inclusion cohort and currently a board member of Northwest Disability Support. She has presented at our All Born In conference and other events like today, sharing best practices, resources, and strategies. She's been a longtime supporter of our mission and values that drive our work. And I'll go ahead and hand the mic over to Molly. Hi, Molly. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, everyone. So we're going to do a quick just talk on a really broad topic. So visuals and augmentative communication at home. The first thing I want to point out is that all the strategies and things we're talking about today are really good for all learners. So the repetitive text, the books with the sign, signs and all of these visuals, maybe for individual kids, but they're really good for dual language learners, visual learners, and all students and children. So I'm just going to share a couple ideas on using visuals. And sometimes when we think about visuals, we just really think about just using pictures. But for young kids, infants, toddlers, even preschoolers, having objects are going to give visual context and help connect to the story. So having those extra, like even just a little stuffy that the child knows resonates with their favorite book, really helps connect. And the connection, if your child does have an AAC device like an iPad, even the book that Cindy just shared, I Went Walking, you can program that language and use that along and model and show your child as you're reading it at home. Um, and I think one big thing too is we're talking mostly about books, but lots of students benefit from visual supports. And that really connects to literacy and lifelong, because most of the pictures have the words with them. So you have that early literacy piece. And a lot of visual sequences or schedules go from left and right. So as you're using, things like a toileting schedule, or, maybe you have a schedule at home, that sequence of left to right is how we read. So using the visuals throughout your routines helps build vocabulary for reading, and really supports that early literacy for young children. Another fun thing my son just loved was this, and there's probably higher tech ways to do this now, but was this talking photo album. So it's a book that you can make, talking about your family, or for my son, we used it to talk about what he did at the weekend, on the weekend, or if we went on a special trip, and he was able to share that book and that connection with his peers, or with, even with family members, and connect, and enjoy sharing those. And there are ways, like this is something from Amazon, but if you have an AAC device, lots of times there's custom ways to put in stories or personal situations. There are some, and I'm sure there's more apps out there, so a lot of you might be better versed, but I love to make custom books. Some of the first books my son started reading was when I just clicked a picture and I wrote a simple sentence about our family. I love mom, I love dad, and had pictures. And so there's, even some of these apps you could take along on your walk, like Cindy said, and take a quick picture, put in the text, and print and go. So there's some fun ways to use these apps that align with like your child's interests, and what they really want to see and experience and share. The one big thing I think to note, especially with young learners, is really just follow your child's lead, and really find those things that they enjoy. And that really will help build their love for reading. It's not important you read every single word in a book if they're a young learner. Just being able to follow their lead. And asking for support from other parents, or if you have a ESD provider on different things that might connect, that's a great resource. This is kind of quickly Parker's journey. Parker's now 11. And some of our early literacy didn't involve books. It just involved having fun, building language, experiencing the world. So these, are some of the first pictures of him just having a good time. And then he started experiencing books, and loving books, and had people that read to him. But most often, as you see, this is our daycare provider, just really daycare provider's son just followed his lead and talked through, and lots of mouthing of books happened. And then, he bridged to augmentative communication. And this is a picture of his communication book, and him bringing it to bed and just really owning it and wanting that connection, and enjoying books with peers. And, this is his cousin, reading to him. And then eventually him finding, for Parker, it was just finding what he was motivated to do. And this is him writing his name on like 20 Valentines. And we wouldn't have ever been able to practice that. And this is his list of what he wanted to do in for a day. And so that those things that he loved, we just continue to build on. And then this is more recent, where he really is continuing to be and grow as a reader and finding things that he loves and enjoys. So that is just some quick ideas and my personal journey.
Thank you so much, Molly. Let's see. Go ahead and share my screen. Those were wonderful examples. Really appreciate you being able to share those with us and Parker's journey. It's always fun to see our kiddos and how they've made progress along the way. Visual supports are so relevant to early literacy and everyone's learning, as is the focus you were talking about on motivating children through their interests and building on their strengths. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Maria Ronhell. Maria is a parent and our bilingual programs coordinator at Northwest Disability Support. She will be sharing how assistive technology has had everything to do with her daughter's success. Maria has been supporting parents of children with disabilities for many years and is a trusted resource in our community. She presents to parent groups at schools and for other organizations, and facilitates our Spanish track at our All Born In Inclusive Education Conference for Spanish-speaking parents and professionals. Maria is a believer in inclusion and meeting parents where they're at, and a believer in her daughter's right to an accessible education that meets her needs. She also loves connecting with other parents to find out where they are in their journey and how she can support them. All right, passing it on over to you, Maria. Hi, Maria. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for that wonderful introduction. When Jamie asked me to share a little bit about AT and Ruby's journey through accessing assistive technology, augmentative communication, and how that has impacted her reading skills, I began to think, and I remember I was talking to Jamie about something, and I said the sentence of AT has everything to do with Ruby's success. Since we learned of it, it just has been the biggest support ever for a lot of Ruby's everyday life. Our experience with assistive technology. So we didn't come across assistive technology until Ruby was about in the mid third grade. And the reason that I started researching about assistive technology is because Ruby was experiencing a lot of behaviors, and she didn't have an effective way to communicate. She didn't develop verbal language until recently, probably 4 years ago, with the help of her assistive technology, an augmentative communication device. And then when I was trying to help support her behavior, and I became aware of the term behaviors communication, and no wonder Ruby was experiencing a lot of behavior. She didn't have a method to communicate effectively what she wanted and what she needed. So then I asked the school for an assistive technology evaluation that would give Ruby the chance to try different communication apps that she could communicate through. To the evaluation showed her a variety of apps to see which one best worked to help support her communication. And that's how we started with assistive technology, as the first thing was for her to communicate. But then with the assistive technology and her iPad and her communication app, she began to access many supports through it, like reading. She was now able to download audiobooks, and I was able to create folders, and I'll show you a little later of what I'm talking about, the folders within her communication app that she has. So when she reads the story, or she's reading a book, or if she's watching a favorite show or a favorite movie, I'm able to just create folders for her about that topic. And then she has all the vocabulary or people that she wants to talk about that was in the story or that was in the movie. And through that, we're able to talk about what she's reading. And one of the things that Jonathan mentioned earlier was the connection between pictures and words. That's key for Ruby. So she needs to have that image and that word. And so by having that, she's able to recognize the word, and she's able to pronounce the word. And the way that she does it is that if she's reading a book, I open one of her folders that I've pre-created with the image and the word, and I'll ask her, like, tell me about the story, and she forms sentences from her book, from her folder that she has within her communication app. She's able to form sentences and tell me about the book. At school, she's able to participate in giving book reports and much more, with the help of the communication app and the folders that we now create for her and her iPad. And she's also now learning how to create her own folders and how to download images and just open her folder and talk about whatever she read or whatever she watched. And with her writing as well, she's learning with her. She started off as like the simple image with word and putting maybe 2 words together, to where now she's putting full sentences, where now she's moving on to the keyboard and able to type in the first letters of the word she wants to type, and then it gives her the image and she chooses it. And I'll show you a little bit more later of an image of what I'm talking about. And I mean, so it supports her with her everyday task and more. One of her favorite things in the world right now to do is to make smoothies. She loves smoothies. And so every morning she makes a smoothie. And the way we started doing it was I created a folder in her communication app with the instructions and step by step how to do her smoothie. And so she's able to open her folder in the morning and follow the instructions and make her own smoothie. Sometimes she makes us some for me and her brothers, and it's great. And let me. Okay, and so this is some of the images that I was talking about, how her communication app looks and how she started, kind of like with the basic. The first image that you see is some of the basic words and sentences that she needs access to, where and if she's in the community, she wants to introduce herself. So it's Ruby, and things that she loves. She loves hot Cheetos. She loves her nails, and some of the words that are just there easy for her. And then the second image shows like more of the folders I was talking about. She has tons and tons of folders on different subjects that we've created throughout the years, for the folders about her family, if she wants to tell people about her family, a folder about school. And within that folder, there's like her folder of math class, her folder of English class, and all the stuff, the vocabulary, the words that she needs for those classes are there so that she's able to participate. And just to show you a little bit about one of the folders. So one of the folders that it's on the third image is movies and shows, and she has one for books as well. But then just to give you an idea of what I'm saying, that we create that folder, and then within that folder there's like for movies and TV shows. Right now, her shows are Phineas and Ferb, My Little Pony, and Monster High. And she's always wanting to talk about that. So there's the characters that she most talks about, and the shows and movies that she's watching. And so then she's able to just open up that folder and start a whole conversation about her favorite shows, TVs, and characters. And on the fifth image, the last image, you can see how I was talking about how now she's able to, she started with the word and the picture, and now she's moved on to where she just opens up her keyboard and she's able to type like the first two letters of a word, and then it prompts her with the pictures on the top, and she's able to just select them and then put in a sentence. And I mean, yeah, technology and augmentative communication has supported her, and ever since she started using it, she's just grown and grown every day with it. And I'm glad that her communication app also grows with her, because there's communication apps that, you know, that goes from levels, from beginning to wherever, and it follows the child. And that's what I love about her communication app, that she started using it when she was in 3rd grade, and now she's in 9th grade and is growing with her. And I've talked a lot about how Ruby accesses her communication device and how she uses it to communicate with others. And so I asked her last night if she would record a little video to say hi to you guys. And so I told her I'm doing a little presentation about you and your communication app and how you talk to people. And I asked her what she wanted to share. So everything that she's saying, she chose to share. And I'll play it for you guys.
Hi. Hi. My name is Ruby. I'm 15 years old. I love hot Cheetos.
And that is Ruby, and she is 15, and her favorite thing in the world to do is to eat hot Cheetos. And she was a little nervous when we did the video, but she usually speaks when she hears the sound of the sentence or the word that she's saying. But she was a little nervous. But that's just a little bit about how assistive technology and augmented communication has helped her throughout her life, and you know, and helped her reading, writing, math, I mean, everything.
Thank you so much, Maria, for showing us how assistive technology can support, someone from when they're just starting really little low-tech things like pictures, all the way through to an iPad with a communication app. The communication device and visuals definitely can help students make educational progress with their reading, writing, identifying things, all kinds of great support that visuals and assistive technology and augmentative communication devices provide. And like you, I know that the more resources and knowledge that I gained helped me as a parent to become more confident in supporting my daughter and in seeking accommodations that she needed to give her access and remove barriers to her learning and communication. So thank you, Maria. All right, do we have anyone that would like to ask a question now to any of our presenters? I was working with a family not too long ago, and they were wondering why this topic would be of interest to them if their kiddo was nonverbal. So I think that's a great question. And Cindy or Molly or does anybody want to answer why it's important, even if your kiddo doesn't have spoken language, to support them with visuals or introduce them to literacy?
Well, this topic, early literacy, is something that is for everybody, absolutely everybody. And for a number of different reasons, right? Even though a child may be nonverbal, they're still learning language. They are still taking language in. They're still expressing themselves in ways. It might not be the typical expressive language kind of way, but they're still expressing themselves and they're still learning, right? And so sharing the love of books and sitting and cuddling together and reading a story, there's so much just in that one interaction that takes place for all of our kids. I think Molly was the one who said that this is for everybody, right? Dual language learners, kiddos with disabilities, all of our children need to be taught about literacy, also help to understand the love of sitting and reading, and they may not be an understanding necessarily or taking it all in, but they're seeing that you're excited about it, right? They're seeing that the print and illustrations go together. They're taking all of that in. Yeah, it's for everybody. I'll let Molly, I think Molly wants to say something, maybe. Did you?
Sure. I think personally, Parker was nonverbal until like kindergarten, first grade is when we started hearing words. So I always, for his journey, I always thought of those visuals and the communication as a bridge, because it really helped him develop language, his understanding. And I think it's so important to remember that a lot of kids are gonna hear and understand more than they're gonna verbally say. So that is like, just keep putting it in, filtering it in, because they're really, they're benefiting from it, even if they can't verbally share that. So it's really a bridge, and just so many great tools to be able to build that.
And I just want to add that although I started my journey of assistive technology because I wanted my daughter to have a way of communicating throughout the years, it has helped her so much. I mean, right now she's in the 9th grade, and her literacy skills have grown so much, and she's still considered to some nonverbal, but I mean, she speaks to me and I understand exactly what she's telling me, and I speak to her as someone once told me, you have to speak to her like she understands everything you're saying. And ever since I've done it, and she has just grown. I mean, every day she surprises me. Now she's in her English class doing vocabulary words, and with the help of her assistive technology, augmentative communication device, and with those folders I was talking about, she's able to recognize the word that is paired with the image, and she's able to, I mean, she's gone 100% the last 2 times she tested. So her literacy skills have grown, and someone would probably say she's nonverbal, but yet she's learning to spell and read.
My son definitely is going to need an assistive device, and he's going to start kindergarten in September. So I wonder if there's a fast way to get him assessed so that he would be able to have this device in the summer so we could practice.
Are you currently, sorry, Molly, I saw you can go next. First thoughts that came to my mind is, have you met with the IEP team yet for the transition meeting to kindergarten? If so, during that time or in a separate meeting, they'll ask you to consent to certain evaluations. I often don't see that they mark the box for assistive technology evaluation, but I do suggest to parents that they suggest that evaluation, they propose that evaluation is done, and it's usually just called an assistive technology evaluation. And what that'll do, because the school has to have data that shows that your child has a delay or deficit in a specific area in order to provide a service. And so what that evaluation will do will show where your kiddo has challenges and strengths. And it'll look at what low-tech supports can help them, like a visual schedule with pictures and words, all the way through to an iPad with a communication app. And so if you've already kind of been through that process, you can ask for an evaluation at any time. So you would just want to contact the IEP case manager in writing by email and just ask if that evaluation can be done.
Okay, and that could be done before September?
Potentially, it depends on your district and the scheduling and the timing. We are getting close to the end of the year, but the sooner you get it in writing, that helps to get things going sooner.
I agree completely with Jamie, and it really is a team thing. It's not just something that it usually involves a speech language pathologist and sometimes an occupational therapist. So it's not usually a quick process, but it can be if there's a team that's focused.
I never thought about this until I became a parent of a child who doesn't use English to communicate or spoken word. So a lot of people use the term nonverbal, and I'm wondering if there's another term that's out there that we could use, because it kind of, it's a negative term. It's like he's not this rather than he's this. So I was just wondering if there's a term out there that's not as long to say as like he uses sign language to communicate.
That's a great question. That's a really good question, and a really appropriate question. I don't have an answer to that though. I haven't heard.
I think about when we were talking about literacy for this session, there's kind of different levels of readers. There's like the early emergent and then the emergent, and then, kind of these different levels. I think you as the parent, model to others how we speak about our kids. And so whatever you're comfortable with, I tend to lean toward the longer version of communicates with a device or communicates non-verbally, through gestures or leading you to somewhere. But yeah, I think a lot of things are changing. Hopefully now we're not looking at disability kind of as a negative or bad word. So maybe we can help normalize, nonverbal is not necessarily a negative. It's just a different form of communication. And let us know if you come across the word, let us know, because we'd love to share it with others.
Stay tuned. I'll be on the search.
Thanks. Does anyone else have a question for us?
I just have a little thing to add. I'm Ellen Wood, and I'm Heather's mom-in-law and Liam's grandma, and she just spoke, but I understand what she's saying, because Liam is very verbal. It's just that you don't understand the words. So I like what you're saying, but I think that sometimes like nonverbal the child hears that, he understands everything. So then he thinks of himself as nonverbal, and that's not necessarily true, because he uses verbal words. We just don't always understand them. So anyway, that's something I wondered about too, is how do we as grandmas or people around our kids, how can we support them? And you've given us some great ideas today, so I really appreciate that. But anyway, I just wondered if you had any experiences with how other family members can help. And my mother, who is the great grandma, is going to quiz me on this today. She's 91 and she wants to know how she can help. So there.
I don't have a answer, but I think just with everything, whether we're talking about literacy, when we talk about all kids, we really want to use that strength-based lens. So we, nonverbal is very like deficit-based, it's negative, but like the what does he do or how does he do it? So just like Jamie shared, like communicates through, however he communicates. So that strength based how he does it would just be important in all aspects of life. That's, it's whether it's it's just anything. It's really just using how he is doing that instead of he is not doing this yet. Or so that's just important, I think, overall.
Yeah, I was just going to hop in there as someone who is a future educator and who is very close to being there. One of the big things that I've been taught throughout my education is to kind of reiterate what Jamie said, to kind of follow the lead of the family. So finding a term or whatever it is that you're comfortable with and the family's comfortable with, your teacher in that classroom is going to follow your lead and go with that, with what you are comfortable with. And so I think that finding something that you and your family are okay with describing how he communicates, again, leading into his strengths or whatever it is, that your classroom teacher should really lean into that. Whatever you choose to describe it, they should follow your lead as well.
Thank you, Natalie. And thank you, Molly, too, for bringing up the strength-based lens. Within disability systems, often in order to provide a service or support, they have to identify a delay or deficit. And so what we can do as parents and families is come to the table looking through that strength-based lens, which kind of helps balance out the rest of the deficit-based document or evaluations or discussions, and it really helps us to see what we can build on. It's seems to be more effective and more honoring someone from where they're at, to be able to look at what their strengths are and where to build on that. Knowing a deficit or delay is important too, because we can know where they're at and where to build skills from. But sometimes that deficit-based lens also can put sometimes a cap on things, or sometimes just a little different perspective on outcomes or dreams and futures. And the strength-based lens helps show people and tell people that our kiddos do have strengths and abilities and skills, and those should be recognized and highlighted as well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, do we have any more questions at this point? Any other comments or anybody want to share for a moment? Looks like we have some comments in the chat. Let me see if I can share those with you. Someone said another perspective to consider is if the child uses ASL, American Sign Language, they may be technically verbal. Verbal is about language, not just voice. And now we'd like to talk about some resources. Thank you everybody for participating in that Q&A. We appreciate your questions. So I'm going to give Natalie a second to talk about a resource pack that we created specifically for this training. So let me pull that up, and Natalie can give you a little bit of information on that. And these resource packs will be sent to you in a follow-up email that you'll receive later today.
So I can start while Jamie's pulling that up. So when thinking about this training and everything we wanted everybody to be able to take away from today, we wanted to make sure that you all had a resource that you can kind of have in hand to kind of incorporate a lot of the things we've talked about here today. So together, lots of people have kind of contributed, and we've put together these resource packets. We do have a version in Spanish as well as a version in English. And within them, there are already planned activity ideas. So it was put together with the mindset of what are things that you're already going to have in your house right now that you could do together over the summer, quick and easy things that would work on literacy. We have lots of things working with letter recognition as well as storytelling, hands-on activities that are good for just verbal communication. We really tried to think of a little bit of everything, so there is an activity or two for all different children in this resource packet. And of course, there's lots of things that can be tweaked and kind of moved around to really fit where your kiddo is at. But we really wanted to have something that you have on hand here as well. So we have I think we have about 12 activities, and there's lots of different things. And again, it's all focused on things that you should have at home. So you really don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of things. Lots of paper and markers and things, but just some simple activities to kind of get you started from where you are about bringing literacy into your home. So that's the first part. And then the next, me and Cindy actually put together a long list of book suggestions. We have talked a lot about books here today and about how they can be really helpful to introduce literacy into your home and to start this journey. So we wanted to put together some books of some of our favorites, and again, things that would meet kind of kiddos wherever they are, with lots of repetition books, big pictures, long books, short books, really just kind of a little bit of everything, so that hopefully there is a couple books in there for your kiddo that would really pique their interests. And then at the bottom, we also put some additional resources in there. I believe Jonathan also kind of pointed out that books can be expensive and it can be kind of hard to get your hands on everything you want. So within this additional resources, we reached out and talked to some local libraries for some different things going on. There's a summer reading book program. You can find books online. YouTube has an amazing resource of read aloud books that if you can't get your hands on one that day, YouTube can be a really big asset to use. And there's just lots of different kind of resources to explore, bringing books and just early literacy in general into your home that we wanted everybody to have as well. So yeah, we just really wanted this to be something that you can walk away from today, kind of having something in your hand and a place to start with literacy and working on this kind of journey of whatever, meeting your kiddo where they are right now and seeing what they can do as they kind of incorporate literacy at home and going into the summer and everything like that. And as Jamie said, this will be sent to you guys in an email, so you should have this really soon. And we really hope that you can take some things away from it.
Thank you, Natalie. And you guys also put together a great calendar. Do you want to share anything about this, Natalie?
Actually, Cindy put this together. Do you have anything to say about it, Cindy?
Sure. And so this is, again, as Natalie said, we wanted to share things with you that you can do right from the get-go at home. You don't have to go out and buy things. You can go on a walk. You can do, you can do things in your own home. And so these are just some ideas to do over the summer. And there's a few ideas for some of the books that we listed too. There's Jump Frog Jump, and maybe do some, move like animals, those kind of things. So some real silly things and easy things that you can just run with. Print it out. I always remember, print it out and put it on your refrigerator, right? And just have some fun with it over the summer.
Thank you both so much for putting together those resources for participants. We also have a couple of resources that, along with these that Natalie and Cindy shared, we will be sharing on our website. All right, and so you will be able to access all the resources and presentations that we shared with you today on our website, www.abicommunity.org, and you would just go to the events tab at the top and then the calendar events, and then if you click on today's event on the calendar, it'll take you right to the events page where all of the information will be, so you can can access it or look back on the information shared today if you would like. You can also contact Maria if you need Spanish support. Her email address and phone number is here, and you can contact me as well for any questions or support. If you're someone who has a kiddo transitioning to kindergarten or high school or even college, any type of supports, resources, or information that you need, we would love to provide for you. We also do a community drop-in on Thursdays from 12 to 2, and you can register for that on our events calendar. And I'd like to give people a few minutes I'll put the links to the evaluations in the chat so that if you want to click on them now, they'll open a tab, or you can copy them into your browser that'll open a tab so that you can fill out the evaluation form for this session. We always want your feedback and appreciate all of your comments and any questions that you might have. And then all participants who fill out the post evaluation will be receiving a book to add to your library. And I'll go ahead and put those links in the chat and then let Cindy tell you a little bit more about how we will be honoring a WOU student by providing you a book for your post evaluation.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. And my puppy's listening to your puppy, Jamie. So a year ago, we lost one of our wonderful students, Jordan Hess. She passed away last year, and she would be a senior and graduating with Natalie this year. And so in honor of her memory, our faculty had come together and wanted to do something with some funds. And because we knew that Jordan, one of Jordan's goals was to work with young children who experience disability, we immediately thought of NWDSA and the important work that's done with this organization and with our families. And so we connected, of course, with NWDSA and Auburn Inn, and worked together to honor in a way to honor Jordan's memory by providing books to families. And so we thought, because with Natalie doing the work she was doing this year, we wanted to provide the families who took part in this workshop with a book, a children's book in Jordan's memory. And then also with some of the other funds, we are going to use we are going to give a children's book in new baby packets too, for babies. Yeah, so that's, we were heartbroken to lose Jordan, but this is a great way for us to honor her memory. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for sharing that. We appreciate your partnership and being able to honor your student in that way. And I'd like to just thank everybody today. Thank all of the presenters again for being here. Thank you, Jonathan, Cindy, Natalie, Molly, Maria, for your time and for sharing with our community. Also, a big thank you to our interpreter, Linda, and staff from Northwest Disability Support for supporting this session. Thank you to all the participants who joined us live today and everybody who will be watching the recording at home. We appreciate times like this where we can come together, share with each other, and learn from one another. This session was possible tonight because of dedicated parents and professionals who participate in and support our reciprocal learning community. We hope you all stay well and take care, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.